Word, retired. Description, describes someone who has stopped working, usually due to age or a desire for leisure. It indicates a shift from a working life to a life of relaxation and often involves ceasing employment. Phrases of example. First, he was a retired general, comfortable in his routines. Second, she felt retired from the world, disconnected and adrift. Third, the old lighthouse keeper, long retired, remembered the storms. Word, dishonest. Description, describes someone who is not truthful or lacks integrity. It indicates a lack of honesty and can refer to actions like lying, cheating, or stealing. It is used to portray a character or action as untrustworthy and deceptive. Phrases of example. First, he was a man of dishonest dealings and false promises. Second, it was dishonest of me to pretend I wasn't hurt by his words. Third, his dishonest smile couldn't hide his true intentions. Word, risky. Description, describes something involving a significant possibility of harm, danger, or loss. It indicates a situation with uncertain outcomes and potential negative consequences, often involving a degree of risk-taking or exposure to potential problems. Phrases of example. First, it was a risky business, this journey into the unknown. Second, a risky move, but one that might just pay off. Third, the investment was risky, but the potential reward was immense. Word, try. Description, refers to an attempt to do something. It signifies an effort or attempt to achieve a goal, often implying a degree of uncertainty about success. It is used to describe an action taken to accomplish something. Phrases of example. First, my first try at making a cake was an absolute disaster. Second, it was a long shot, a desperate try for something better. Third, he made a final try to reach the summit, the wind biting at his face. Word, complex. Description, means something that is made up of many different and connected parts. It often describes situations, systems, or ideas that are difficult to understand or analyze due to their intricate nature and multiple components. Phrases of example. First, the human mind is a complex mechanism. Second, life is complex and often unfair. Third, the theory is complex, but the premise is simple. Word, underwear. Description, refers to clothing worn next to the skin, typically beneath other clothes. It includes items like briefs, boxers, and bras, providing comfort and modesty. It's a common, everyday word related to personal attire. Phrases of example. First, he tugged at his underwear, a nervous habit he's had since childhood. Second, she glanced down at her underwear, a flash of lace against the silk of her dress. Third, he's just a boy with his underwear pulled too high. Word, consistently. Description, means in a regular and predictable way, over time. It describes actions or qualities that happen frequently and reliably. Used to show something occurs repeatedly, demonstrating a pattern or habit. Phrases of example. First, he consistently argued for a more inclusive policy. Second, she consistently demonstrated exceptional leadership qualities. Third, he consistently sought new knowledge and experiences. Word, branch. Description, refers to a division or section of something, like a company or a river. It can also describe a projecting part of a tree. It signifies a subdivision, extension, or offshoot from a main body or structure. Phrases of example. First, the tree bore a thick branch, reaching towards the light. Second, he climbed the branch, seeking a better view of the forest. Third, a single branch of hope remained, despite the storm. Word, everyone. Description, means all people without exception. It's a general term used to refer to a group including all individuals, and is commonly used when speaking about a whole population or group of people. Phrases of example. First, everyone knows the importance of friendship. Second, everyone has their own opinion. Third, everyone should be treated with kindness. Word none. Description means no one or nothing. It indicates a complete absence or lack of something. Used to negate existence or quantity, often in response to a question or to express a negative state. Phrases of example. First, none of us knew what was going to happen next. Second, there was none that could withstand his power. Third, none understood the depths of his despair. Word inspect. Description, to examine something carefully, often to check for problems or to assess its quality. It suggests a thorough and detailed review, typically performed by someone with expertise or authority, to ensure standards are met. Phrases of example. First, the inspector meticulously inspects the scene, searching for any overlooked detail. Second, she's going to inspect the damage, but she won't find anything. Third, he would inspect the room, searching for signs of intrusion. Word safe. Description means free from danger or risk, protected from harm. It describes a state of security and well-being, indicating a lack of threat or potential for injury. It can refer to people, places, or things. Phrases of example. First, it is not enough to be safe, you must be brave. Second, I want to be safe, but I also want to be free. Third, you must always protect the safe place. Word statue. Description, a carved figure, often of a person or animal, that is made of stone or metal. It's usually erected to commemorate a person or event, or for artistic display. Statues are often found in public places like parks or museums. Phrases of example. First, the statue looked down upon the city, a silent, watchful guardian. Second, he stared up at the bronze statue, a symbol of forgotten glory. Third, the marble statue seemed to breathe in the moonlight, a timeless beauty. Word where. Description indicates a place or location. It's used to ask about or describe where something is, or to show the position of something in relation to another thing. It's a common word for basic questions about location. Phrases of example. First, I know where I belong. Second, where there is a will, there is a way. Third, where words are needed, words are found. Word forward. Description describes something that is planned or arranged for the future. It can also mean advanced or ahead of others. It suggests a proactive approach, readiness, or a position ahead in a sequence or timeline. Phrases of example. First, he looked forward to a bright future for his country. Second, she was a woman of forward thinking and great determination. Third, the company's forward planning saved them from financial ruin. Word via. Description indicates movement from one place to another or communication through a particular route or medium. It signifies a path or channel used to reach a destination or transmit information, often implying a specific method or system. Phrases of example. First, I journeyed via the ancient Roman road, a ribbon of history beneath my wheels. Second, he transmitted the message via radio, a desperate plea across the static. Third, we're sending the data via satellite, ensuring secure and rapid transfer. Word business. Description refers to a commercial activity or company. It can also describe a matter under discussion or an affair. It is often used to talk about work, trade, or a company's operations. Phrases of example. First, it's a dangerous business, Harry, to wander too far off the beaten path. Second, we were in the business of making dreams come true. Third, it's hard to do business with anyone you don't trust. Word upstairs. Description indicates a higher level within a building. It describes a location or direction that is above the ground floor. It's often used to give simple directions within a house or building. Phrases of example. First, she hurried upstairs, her heart pounding in her chest. Second, he went upstairs to find his father waiting for him. Third, she paused upstairs, listening for any sound from below. Word divide. Description refers to a line, space, or barrier that separates something into parts. It can be a physical separation, like a fence, or a conceptual distinction, like a difference in opinion. It signifies a point of separation or distinction. Phrases of example. First, the divide between rich and poor is growing wider. Second, a great divide now existed between him and his former friends. Third, the chasm that divides humanity is a deep one. Word, military. Description relates to armed forces and warfare. It describes things connected to the Army, Navy, or Air Force, like equipment, personnel, or strategies. It's used when talking about armed conflicts, defense, or related organizations. Phrases of example. First, the military mind is a dangerous thing. Second, the military situation was rapidly deteriorating. Third, he knew the military could be ruthless and unforgiving. Word, award. Description, a prize or honor given to someone for achievement. It's often given to recognize excellence in a specific field, like sports, academics, or the arts. It can also refer to a formal recognition of effort. Phrases of example. First, a poet's work is to name the unnameable, to point at frauds, to take sides, to make a human being. Second, the award is a symbol of a man's life. Third, the award is a symbol of a man's life. Word, leather. Description refers to a strong, flexible material made from animal skin, often used for clothing, bags, and furniture. It's known for its durability and distinctive appearance. It describes the material itself or items made from it. Phrases of example. First, the saddle was made of supple leather, and the reins were long and braided. Second, he held a notebook bound in worn leather, its pages filled with strange symbols. Third, the old boots were made of sturdy leather, cracked and worn by years of use. Word, connected. Description describes a relationship or link between things. It means things are joined or related in some way, whether physically or conceptually. It implies a bond or association exists between the items being described. Phrases of example. First, I feel connected to everything on this earth. Second, we are all connected in ways we don't realize. Third, everything in the universe is connected, isn't it? Word, browser. Description, a software application used to access and view websites on the internet. It allows users to navigate the World Wide Web, displaying web pages and allowing interaction with online content. It's a tool for exploring the internet. Phrases of example. First, the browser's functionality is only as good as the user's knowledge. Second, he navigated the digital browser, seeking information. The Circle, Dave Eggers. Third, the browser could access data unknown to most. Word, relieved. Description, feeling happy because a difficult or worrying situation has ended or been avoided. It describes a sense of freedom from stress or anxiety, often after a period of worry or uncertainty. Phrases of example. First, she felt relieved when the rain finally stopped falling. Second, I was relieved to hear that he was safe. Third, he felt relieved, but a little guilty to be free. Word, distort. Description means to twist or skew something out of its original shape or meaning. It implies a change that is inaccurate, misleading, or presents a false impression. It can refer to physical alteration or a change in perception. Phrases of example. First, his memory, like a warped mirror, would distort the past. Second, the news reports often distort the truth, feeding into public fears. Third, the lens seemed to distort the familiar landscape, making it alien. Word, ride. Description refers to a journey on an animal or vehicle. It can mean sitting on and being transported by something, like a bike or a horse. It implies movement from one place to another using a mode of transportation. Phrases of example. First, he went for a long ride on his bicycle. Second, they took a boat ride on the lake. Third, the roller coaster gave a thrilling ride. Word, TV. Description, short for television, it's a device that receives broadcast signals and displays moving images and sound. It is a common form of entertainment and news source. People often watch TV at home. Phrases of example. First, I can't get enough of television. Second, she sat before the television, a blank expression on her face. Third, he switched on the television, hoping for distraction. Word, furniture. Description, refers to movable objects found in a room to make it comfortable and functional. It includes things like tables, chairs, beds, and sofas. It's what you use to furnish a house or apartment. Phrases of example. First, the room was sparsely furnished, only a table and 2 chairs. Second, he moved the furniture to make room for a dance floor. Third, the antique furniture added character to the old house. Word, following. Description, means coming after something or someone in time or position. It describes things that are next in a sequence or related to what was previously mentioned. It's often used to indicate order or connection. Phrases of example. First, the following morning brought a strange sense of anticipation. Second, he felt a following gaze, cold and knowing. Third, following this, the situation rapidly deteriorated. Word, feel. Description, to experience an emotion or sensation. It can describe physical sensations like cold or hunger, or emotional states like happiness or sadness. It's a common verb for describing how you experience things. Phrases of example. First, I feel happy when I am with you. Second, I feel sorry for people who don't believe in magic. Third, I feel cold, but I also feel safe. Word, cream. Description, describes something light in color, often a pale yellow or off-white. It can also refer to something rich or luxurious, evoking a sense of indulgence or refinement. It is often used to describe food, drinks, or textures. Phrases of example. First, she had a cream dress, so light and flowing. Second, the ice cream was a creamy delight. Third, his complexion was pale, almost cream. Word, celebrate. Description, to show happiness and excitement about a special occasion or event. It means to do something enjoyable to mark a particular day or achievement, often with others. It suggests joy and acknowledgement of something positive. Phrases of example. First, they celebrate the victory with joyous song. Second, let us celebrate this day with great joy. Third, we will celebrate your graduation with a party. Word, million. Description, a very large number, 1,000 thousands, 1 million. It's used to express quantities far greater than everyday counts. It's a fundamental number for describing large amounts. Phrases of example. First, I have a million reasons to smile. Second, a million dreams is a start. Third, he was worth $1 million. Word, property. Description, refers to something that is owned by someone. This can include land, buildings, or possessions. It indicates ownership and legal rights associated with something tangible or intangible. Phrases of example. First, the estate was his property, a legacy of generations. Second, they would give up all their property. Third, private property is the foundation of order and prosperity. Word, unlike. Description, indicates a contrast between two things. It's used to show how something is different from something else, highlighting distinctions or dissimilarities. It establishes a comparison revealing differences. Phrases of example. First, unlike him, I love the rain and the dampness and the chill. Second, unlike most children, he found solace in the quiet of the library. Third, unlike her, he was always ready to fight for what he believed in. Word, spoken. Description, describes something that is communicated verbally rather than written. It refers to language or words that are expressed through speaking. It's often used to differentiate between written and oral communication or language. Phrases of example. First, the spoken word is the mother of action. Second, the unspoken words are often the most powerful. Third, his spoken words were honest, though sometimes harsh. Word projection. Description refers to an estimated or predicted outcome based on current trends or data. It can also describe an unconscious psychological process of attributing feelings or thoughts to others. It's used when discussing forecasts, assessments, or psychological interpretations. Phrases of example. First, the projection of the past upon the present. Second, a projection of his own hopes and fears onto the young man. Third, their plans were mere projections of their own desires. Word suppose. Description means to believe something is likely or true, often based on limited evidence. It can also mean to imagine something or to be asked a question requiring a response. It's a common, versatile verb for expressing possibilities or giving answers. Phrases of example. First, I suppose the thing I like most about her is her hair. Second, I suppose he was just as frightened as I was. Third, I suppose that's why I came. Word clash. Description denotes a forceful disagreement or conflict between people or things. It suggests a strong opposition, incompatibility, or collision of ideas, styles, or personalities. It conveys a sense of discord and friction. Phrases of example. First, the clash of cultures can be both destructive and creative. Second, a clash of ideals is what shapes history, not armies. Third, the clash of wills between them was palpable, a silent battle. Word. Description, a unit of language with a meaning, spoken or written. It's the smallest part of a sentence that carries significance. Words combine to form phrases and sentences, conveying thoughts and ideas. Phrases of example. First, a word is a link between thoughts. Second, words are easy, actions are hard. Third, a word dropped in the right ear can be a seed of great change. Word dependence. Description denotes a state of needing someone or something to function or survive. It suggests a reliance on another person, object, or system. This can be emotional, financial, or even physical, implying a lack of full autonomy. Phrases of example. First, she felt a crippling dependence on his approval, a vulnerability she despised. Second, our dependence on fossil fuels is a dangerous reality that must be addressed. Third, the fragile dependence between them fostered a shared longing. Word touch. Description refers to the act of physically contacting something or someone. It can also mean a light graze or a slight contact. It signifies a brief or gentle connection between surfaces or people. Phrases of example. First, the mere touch of his hand made her heart flutter. Second, he felt a touch of sadness, remembering his childhood. Third, a gentle touch can heal a broken heart. Word privilege. Description refers to a special right, advantage, or immunity granted to a particular person or group. It often implies an unearned benefit or status not available to everyone, and can relate to social, legal, or economic advantages. Phrases of example. First, it is a privilege to be alive, to be aware, to experience. Second, having privilege means understanding your power and using it responsibly. Third, the privilege of a good education is not to be taken lightly. Word governance. Description refers to the system or process of controlling and administering something, like a country, company, or organization. It involves the rules, people, and processes used to make decisions and manage affairs. It's often used in formal contexts. Phrases of example. First, the absence of governance leads to the rise of chaos and strife. Second, good governance is the key to prosperity and stability. Third, their system of governance proved both effective and cruel. Word evoke. Description to bring a feeling, memory, or image into someone's mind. It means to draw forth or produce something, often a response or emotion. It suggests a powerful and often subtle triggering of a reaction. Phrases of example. First, the past evoked images of a world that no longer existed. Second, his words evoked a sense of longing and regret. Third, the music evoked a powerful emotion in her soul. Word cream. Description: it's a thick, rich food made from milk or a cosmetic product. It can refer to dairy, like ice cream, or a lotion used on the skin. It is a common word describing a smooth, often luxurious texture. Phrases of example. First, the cat lapped at the cream, purring with delight. Second, I'd like a spoonful of cream with my coffee, please. Third, she added a dollop of cream to her strawberries. Word milk. Description: refers to a white liquid produced by mammals, often consumed as a beverage or used in cooking. It's a common food item and a basic word for beginners learning English. Phrases of example. First, I could smell the milk and butter and the bread. Second, she gave him a glass of warm milk. Third, and then I wanted a glass of milk. Word noon. Description: denotes the middle of the day, specifically 12:00 p.m. It's often used in formal contexts or when referring to a specific time of day, often associated with lunch breaks or midday appointments. Phrases of example. First, the sun at noon was a molten eye in the sky. Second, it was past noon, and the heat was oppressive. Third, by noon, the stillness was unsettling. Word piano. Description: a musical instrument with black and white keys. It is played by pressing these keys to create sounds. It's a common instrument often found in homes or music schools. Phrases of example. First, she sat down at the piano and began to play a simple melody. Second, the music from the piano drifted through the open window. Third, he played the piano with a melancholic grace.